Thank you. I'm Dave Cerino from Carteret Community College, but I did get a lot of this information from our Division of Marine Fisheries. So I'm going to step back to 2018. Hurricane Florence put a pretty bad hurting on our industry. What they did an assessment and got some insurance allotments, and overall between product loss and property damage was over $10 million in losses. And so that has been a recovery process in this past year, and that attributes to this drop in lease applications. So overall, our industry has grown really fast. I think the people that come see me at the community college and want to get into it have oyster fever. Probably a lot of people in this room have that disease as well. But so what you can see with these two lines on here is that you have to get a bottom lease in order to lease the water column above it. So the fact that these two lines are really close together means almost everybody who's applying for a lease is applying for a water column lease. Total acreage in the state is over 2,000 acres with 354 leaseholders. So it's definitely getting up there. And this kind of shows that again with the number of water column leases drastically increasing every year, getting higher and higher, and that's kind of where the productivity is going. And the oyster production has gone up with it. So this data comes from our trip ticket program, which is how they get the commercial fisheries data, and they finally started parsing out some of the aquaculture data. It's a little bit hard to interpret. These bushels, I don't know what that means exactly, but through some of the other data they gave us, I think the number 7.5 million oysters were harvested off leases last year for a total value of about $2.7 million. So that's about the size of our oyster industry right now. I'm going to throw plans in there. I think listening to the folks from Virginia talking and going through this process of seeing where our industry's at and watching it grow, North Carolina has been jealous of Virginia's oyster aquaculture industry being $16, $17 million a year, but for some reason we're not that jealous of their $32 million clam industry. But I am. And our production is down for clams. Some of that is from storms that came through and lowered our production. But if you can see, the other thing I have on the other slide is that so right now our farmed oyster value is starting to exceed our wild harvest, but our wild clam industry is still much larger than our aquaculture clam industry, which is only hovering around $143,000. So we have a lot of room to grow there. As far as seed supply, so there's one established hatchery that's been around for a very long time, produces clam and oyster seed. There's another Just Nursery that's come online recently, and then there's a lot of growers that are sort of doing their own nursery work, and they'll get extra seed and they'll start supplying the industry. So as this industry is growing really quick, one of the concerns was there would be a bottleneck with not enough factory production. And while we don't have a lot of oyster breeding going on in the state with bringing in eyed larvae or very small seed, we have seen that. I haven't heard anybody who says they can't find seed because it is available and through these nursery efforts. So there was a process that was gone through starting in 2018. The North Carolina legislature asked the UNC to do a study on what kind of changes might need to be done to our laws. So most of the laws that regulate shellfish aquaculture were written in such a way that the details were written as laws and not some of the other stuff that's managed. Is they write a law that says who's going to actually manage resources through rules. Rules are easy to change, laws take a long time to change. So there had to be some actual legislative changes that were made. So of those recommendations, several of them were passed into law in 2019. One is that we can have shellfish, or we're going to potential to establish shellfish aquaculture enterprise areas, which is sort of similar to what you've heard about in Mississippi, Louisiana. These are zones that are pre-permitted for aquaculture for people to get started. There was a desire to have some maybe larger leases, and that was maybe a happy medium with it. They didn't allow really large leases. The maximum amount of acreage one leaseholder can have is 50 acres, and they just made it so that in the Pamlico Sound, the large body of water, that can all be leased as one single parcel instead of the maximum 10 acres, which is where it is everywhere else. They increased production and planting requirements to try to improve productivity of some of the leases that have been around a really long time but maybe weren't producing. Some of these go back to like Kings Grant shellfish bottoms that are have land claims to them.